13th, spooky Friday 13th. I thought I would do a bonus daily financial news just as we kind of pack up, get ready to leave the wonderful San Diego area and the Flip Hacking Live session. Thought I would catch you up on what the one and only Mr. Bruce Norris had to say about the real estate market, because you know, when Bruce talks, I listen. So let's get into it, folks. Let's first start off with the one and only Mr. Bruce Norris. It was a pleasure seeing him again. For those of you that don't know, Bruce Norris was instrumental in Olivia and I's real estate journey. We were lucky enough to see him speak sometime around 2005 or 2006, and he let us know about the California crash. Yes, folks, he called the California crash, as he did the California comeback. We are now seeing affordability levels not seen since the 1980s, and I had to know, does Bruce Norris see another crash coming? This is important because Bruce Norris has historically gone back and said repeatedly that when affordability gets to these stretched levels, a crash will occur. If you've been following my channel, you know that I've been saying, I don't see it. We have interest rate lock-in, all of the above. But again, this is what Bruce Norris does. He consumes endless amounts of data. So I had to know if I had some blind spots, if I was missing anything, and he shared his latest and possibly last report with the audience at Flip Hacking Live. The title of this report was Uncharted Territories. Now, what does uncharted territories mean in this context? Basically, Bruce did what Bruce does, is he showed all the affordability, all of the charts, prices, unemployment, interest rate, all of these things, and said, historically, you go back to the crash in the 80s, the one in the 2000s, we are at levels where a crash setup appears likely given historical context. But again, the title of this report is Uncharted Territories. And as Bruce has dug into the details, he basically thinks, and he said, we got 2 years of appreciation. We got all the appreciation for the decade in 2 years. No price crash is coming. We're going to have below trend transactions. We are not going to have the flood of trustee sales. People are sitting on equity positions in totality that are roughly 50%. Interest rates below 4 and 5%. People will fight to stay in their homes. So I did not know what Bruce was going to say. I haven't seen Bruce speak in 2 or 3 years. But to hear Bruce kind of reiterate what you and I have been talking about for a year and a half or 2 years certainly made me feel better, because I didn't know what he was going to say. So at the end of the day, kind of my summary from Bruce Norris's 90-minute discussion was, it's going to be a sideways market. It's going to be a market where you are to find motivated sellers, and it's just going to be a sideways market. So again, that was kind of the end of Bruce Norris's talk. Low transactions, low foreclosures, sideways on price, the mortgage is the asset. These were all quotes I took from his talk. So Bruce, if you ever see this, thank you so much. Appreciate all you've done for us and you continue to do for the community. Next up, Nikki Leaks. Again, Nikki Leaks was termed by Meet Kevin. Shout out to him for that. Nikki Leaks is saying core inflation is falling. The Fed is happy. To reiterate, Fed Hawker talked this morning that he's watching core, and again, core came down and went from 4.3 to 4.1. There's a very good chance that it could be under 4% in the next report. We will obviously be watching energy, oil, gas, things of that nature. Next up, folks, get ready for the Doomers. The Doomers got some statistics that can scare you if we don't really understand them. Here is an example of a statistic that is absolutely correct and absolutely means nothing. Ryan Lundquist, shout out Ryan Lundquist on Twitter or X, California Appraiser, I believe is his handle. Ryan Lundquist put out a note the other day that Sacramento short sales have doubled. Sacramento short sales are up 100%. Folks, if you step back and you look at the math, they've gone from 1 to 2. Yes, folks, there are 2 short sales in all of Sacramento, California. It is clearly a sign of impending doom and crash. Get ready for the headlines. 100% increase in short sales in Sacramento. Yes, they went from 1 to 2. Stephen Blintz, chief U.S. economist at Global Data TS Lombard, says that there is no way the Fed gets to 2% inflation without a recession. I don't know. I am certainly calling for a recession in the first half, Q1 specifically. Yeah, we're going to have to see. It is getting very interesting out there. President Hawker this morning reiterating the Fed pivot. Folks, I think we just had the Fed pivot. The Fed pivot started on Sunday. It continued on Monday, it continued on Tuesday, and again today on Friday with Fed Hawker saying, holding rates where they are is my plan. We've done a lot in a very short period. Folks, just a week ago, you and I were sitting here talking like the Fed was going to hit us with 1 or 2 more rate hikes this year. Now the Fed is like, ooh, we're starting to see some signs of some pain and some issues out there. I think we're done. We've got to let the lag effect occur. So I think we just had the Fed pivot. If you were hoping for the Fed pivot, you had it. The Fed pivot is a pause. Congratulations, you got the pause. We did start getting earnings for Q3. We just had the big banks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and also asset manager BlackRock. The big banks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Citi, all beat top line and beat bottom line. Some interesting notes. Citigroup CFO expects a mild recession in the first half of 2024. I agree. JP Morgan released. This is interesting. Remember, over the last year or so, we have talked about banks, quote unquote, reserving for bad debt. Remember that? Reserving for bad debt? That's basically where they create a reserve so they can charge off loans. Sometimes, as in the case for JP Morgan, they released $132 million in loan loss reserves. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means that their loan book is not as bad as they thought. Another way to say release of $132 million is they over-reserved. Now, let's not get it twisted. $132 million, what may sound like a lot to me and you, it's really a drop in the bucket for the largest bank on the planet. But it is interesting. It is very interesting that JP Morgan chose to release the $132 million. I think that is interesting. So we'll see what happens there. BlackRock, a large asset manager, actually missed on revenue, but beat on earnings. Looks like company Flexport, don't know if you saw the news, but Flexport is laying off another 20% of their employees. They just announced that today. Flexport released or laid off 20% of employees back in January. So they just had a CEO or executive shakeup. The CEO has come in and whacked another 20%. So we are not done with companies right-sizing, getting their burn rates correct so that they can survive to 25 or 26. Looks like Ford and the UAW strike is going to get interesting. Ford today said they've reached their limits. We can't give anymore. UAW did not like hearing that. Remember, I think it was Wednesday. UAW is starting to strike at the SUV and truck plants. I think it was in Kentucky. I might be wrong, but somewhere. We now have the line in the sand. We are now playing chicken. It could get interesting. Now, this is just Ford. We will see what the other companies do, but it appears that Ford and UAW are at an impasse. So it will be very interesting going forward. I had a conversation. I was lucky enough to give a presentation at Flip Hacking Live yesterday. We talked about the importance of buy box, focus, daily discipline. Hope you saw that. I will release it on my channel. I did a dry run that I recorded. I released that after the session to give respect to my where I'm presenting. But yeah, I'll release that sometime later this week. But I was asked by a single parent. A single parent last evening caught me as we were having the 3 hours of Q&A. And they asked, what should I do? Single mom in this case has responsibility for her son, doesn't have a lot of extra money, can barely make rent. She thinks that house flipping or whatever it is could be her path to a better future. I simply told her if Olivia and I were in that situation and we were at that level, we would buy a fourplex. We would house hack a fourplex. The key, if you're living that close to the edge, is not to take on monstrous risk. We're starting a new venture in flipping. You should take your largest expense, X taxes, and house hack. You should house hack. Now, they happen to live in the Bay Area somewhere. It's very expensive, but still, you should house hack. Even if you can't live for free, you can live for less. And now you take your monthly rent from $2,500 or $3,000 down to $1,000. That's an extra $2,500 in breathing room. Folks, a lot of you are chasing the sexiness and the sizzle of flipping and wholesaling to fill the void in your income. Challenge yourself. House hack. Now that the FHA or Fannie Mae is going to release a 5% down program, I don't know what you're doing. You used to have to put 25% down, I think, plus you had all these other income constraints. That is now gone. So at the end of the day, if you are struggling to make ends meet and you just don't know how you're going to get there, my answer is house hack. House hack, house hack, house hack. Last thing I read to kind of wrap up this Friday, October 13th. Yes, spooky Friday 13th. 56% of workers are not on track to retire comfortably. That is pretty scary to me. Fidelity says that you need 10x your retirement income, your pre-retirement income by your time you're 67 years old. Obviously, Fidelity is a 401k, kind of give me your money kind of thing. Again, I don't think it's about net worth. I don't even think it's about 401k balances. I think it is about how much passive income you can create that allows you to buy back your time and give you options. So at the end of the day, I hope you enjoyed this bonus section from the lovely San Diego Hilton Hotel. Yes, if you ever get to stay in San Diego, Hilton is right on the water. We got a big old corner room so we can enjoy it from all sides. Give them a shot. Check out Hilton. Bruce Norris, thank you. I was very interesting to hear you talk about uncharted territories. Folks, I hope you have an amazing weekend. Do the work, do the work, do the work. Bye.